I'm Dave Briggs. New Day starts right now. See you tomorrow.
He may be the first president to face the real prospect of jail time.
It's a miscarriage of justice. We should not have special prosecutors going after one person.
The key phrase is directed by individual one. Directed by implicates the president in a felony.
It's been a long 2 years for General Kelly. Perhaps it is time for arrest.
There was internal resistance to airs from senior staff.
President Trump definitely feels comfortable with Meadows, but whether the political chemistry is there, it's a little hard to tell right now.
This is New Day with Allison Camerata and John Berman.
We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. This is New Day. It is Monday, December 10th, 6 o'clock here in New York. Great to see you so early after our fun night at CNN
We're
Heroes.
so fresh. We're so fresh.
We are.
CNN Heroes is one of the greatest nights of the year. It's inspiring in every way.
It is fabulous, and we'll get into that. But this morning, we begin with Donald Trump facing the greatest threat to his presidency. For the first time since taking office, the president is tied directly to federal crimes in the sentencing memo of his former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen. The top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee calls these, quote, impeachable offenses. Also revealed in the new documents are about the lies allegedly told by former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, lies that torpedoed his plea deal with the feds. Here's what we know this morning. Federal prosecutors say Donald Trump instructed Michael Cohen to pay that hush money during the campaign to those two women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. And we've learned that Cohen also spoke to a Russian offering, quote, political synergy, end quote, in November of 2015, although he says he did not take the meeting because he already had another connection to the Russian government. We now know that Michael Cohen is one of at least 14 Trump associates who interacted with Russians during the campaign. That's a higher number than we knew. This was also during the presidential transition, according to the analysis by the Washington Post.
14 is actually also not zero, which is what President Trump said it was the first month of his administration. We also know that Michael Cohen lied about negotiations to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, and that he says he discussed the project with then-candidate Trump well into the 2016 campaign. Prosecutors say Paul Manafort, also lied about his contacts with the White House. They have messages showing Manafort talking to people in the administration earlier this year, even after his 2017 indictment. And he also lied about his contacts with a Russian operative who has ties to the military intelligence agency suspected of hacking the DNC. All of that, everything we just laid out there is what we learned on Friday. That's just Friday. That's on top of the Trump Tower meeting where Don Jr. was promised Russian dirt on Hillary Clinton. That's on top of the 12 Russian intelligence officers indicted for hacking the DNC. That's on top of Roger Stone and Jerome Corsi trying to connect with WikiLeaks about releasing this information. That's on top of whatever lies former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn told and whatever President Trump did to derail the investigation into that. In fact, that's on top of whatever investigation there is into obstruction altogether. In other words, it's a lot on top of a lot on top of a lot.
With a cherry on top. As the White House deals with these revelations, there is also a shakeup at the highest levels. The president announcing that Chief of Staff John Kelly will be out by the end of the year. And the front runner to replace him, Vice President Pence's Chief of Staff, Nick Ayers, says he does not want that job. Sources tell CNN there are 4 people in the running to replace Kelly, but some of them are not interested. So we have a lot to cover for you this morning. Luckily, we have wonderful guests joining us.
And also David Gregory.
And David Gregory's here.
So sweet.
David, we're leading with you, our CNN political analyst. We also have former federal prosecutor and CNN legal analyst Laura Coates, and former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York and CNN legal analyst Jennifer Rogers. Jennifer, great to have you on set with us. Big picture, okay? So we've just spelled out some of the more granular details. Take us up to 30,000 feet. What do you see this morning?
Well, I see a president who's really in trouble now because for the first time we actually have a prosecutor's office saying that he has committed a federal felony. The question is, what are they going to do about it, right? And what is Mueller going to do about his piece of it? So I think that ultimately they're going to have to wait. The OLC opinions, Office of Legal Counsel, says that you can't indict a sitting president, so they're going to have to hold on to this. They could indict him after he leaves office. They could turn the evidence over to Congress for whatever they want to do, but they're unlikely to proceed with that criminal case as of now.
That's the one. Are you referring to the one where Michael Cohen, at the direction of individual one, who we know to be Donald Trump, made those hush money payments.
Correct. So Cohen had testified to that in his plea proceeding, but we hadn't yet had the prosecutor's office say that they believed it was true, which means they don't just have Cohen's statement, because Cohen, of course, is not technically even a cooperator. They can't rely on his testimony. They have other evidence that's consistent with that, and that's what they spelled out in the memo on Friday, meaning that the president could be charged if he weren't the actual sitting president.
And David Gregory, and again, it is delightful to have you on this morning. I'm putting this to you because I couldn't be happier that you're with us. This is like ring number 3. That's what's so astounding to me about what we learned on Friday in writing, is that the Southern District of New York thinks that it could prosecute President Trump for a crime were he not president. Basically, that's what they say on paper. That's on top of whatever evidence there might be about Russian collusion. That's on top of whatever investigation they might have into obstruction. They could charge the president with breaking a law. That's a big deal.
Huge deal, and could force that confrontation while he's still in office, potentially. If not, there could be the pursuit of an impeachment proceeding against him. So you don't get a bigger deal than this. We've been talking for months about trying to understand how all the pieces fit together. We got now an indication of how part of that picture looks and how damning that part alone is without even knowing the rest of it. So there's the Michael Cohen piece. This other piece that's so big boils down to this, which is the Trump campaign was open for business with the Russians. And apparently it went all the way up to the candidate himself. And how do we know that? We know that from what we've learned. But if you connect what the evidence is that the special prosecutor has gathered with the president's own statements, that tells you a lot as well. What did the president say during the campaign? He said it would be good to have a better relationship with Russia. He's now admitted that, yes, he had business dealings that he then abandoned. But about June of 2016, he was still pursuing a Trump Tower there. He openly called upon the Russian government to hack Hillary Clinton's emails, to find missing emails, and that reporters would reward Russia for that. Talked about how much he loved WikiLeaks, and on this thing goes. Again, this idea that the campaign was open for business because the candidate and others said anybody would go for this kind of opposition research, when we know the Russians didn't like Hillary Clinton, didn't want her to win.
Laura, the Russians reached out to more Trump associates than we previously knew. So here's I think we have a graphic of the 14 people that have just been disclosed. There may be more, but there were 14 people, including Ivanka Trump. Did not know that she was one of the people. There was this, he's the person that supposedly, this is the Russian who was looking for political synergy with the campaign. The Washington Post says it was this athlete turned entrepreneur named Dmitry Klokov, who, all of that, I mean, basically, Laura, what I see in this is that individually, taken individually, the wife of some Russian entrepreneur calls you, if you're Ivanka Trump, okay, that doesn't sound like a high crime and misdemeanor. But when you put all of that together, you see how many inroads different Russians were trying to make successfully to the Trump campaign.
I mean, it's astonishing, Allison, to think about. And of the graphic you're showing and of the list of people who were receptive, were willing to speak to anyone, I don't see one that actually contacted the FBI to alert them to the fact that there were people trying to make inroads to influence in some way an American presidential election, or for any election for that matter. And when you have people and you have it out in writing with Mueller's different sentence recommendations, et cetera, you do not have anybody who was reaching out to the FBI or any law enforcement agency to say, this is happening, this is a problem, and we do not want any part of it. Instead, you have people reaching back in many respects. Now, it's getting closer and closer to the inner circle and the Oval Office, indeed, for the President of the United States. But what's so astonishing to me is that of all the things you all have listed today, that litany of things that we do know, Mueller knows exponentially more. He's redacted portions of his filings to alert people that he doesn't even want you to know yet what you do not know, but it's coming. And that, I think, is the most foreboding thing of all. And if you're the President of the United States at this point, or anyone in his inner circle, you're wondering, is my name under that particular black line? I'm certainly on the graphic.
You know, what's so interesting, when Laura says Mueller knows more, both David and Jennifer are nodding like this, because if there's one thing we've learned is that Mueller is operating at a different level than we're used to, and we just have no idea where he's going. If we can put that chart of the 14 people up on the screen for one more time, let it sink in for just 1 second. Now look at that, committed to memory, and now I want to play Donald Trump, who had been president for about a month when he said this on February 16th, 2017. Listen.
I have nothing to do with Russia. To the best of my knowledge, no person that I deal with does.
No person except for those 14 people just up on the screen. So leave that there. I want to play Jerry Nadler because I think this moved beyond the theoretical this weekend when Jerry Nadler, who will be chair of the House Judiciary Committee in less than a month, said this on our air. It was fascinating.
Well, they would be impeachable offenses. Whether they are important enough to justify an impeachment is a different question, but certainly they'd be impeachable offenses because even though they were committed before the president became president, they were committed in the service of fraudulently obtaining the office. That would be that would be an impeachable offense.
David, to you, because this now is a political discussion. Jerry Nadler laid it out perfectly there. Yes, he thinks if he wanted to, he could bring this up to discuss as an impeachable offense. He could hold hearings on it. But what he's saying is he's not sure it's politically expedient to do so.
Well, it's interesting. If you are on a continuum, you'd see the level of caution that Democrats have had about the I word against President Trump. And here is Nadler yesterday who said, yeah, well, they'd be impeachable offenses. Whether it warrants that or not is a separate issue. Democrats are going to be so cautious about moving down this road. But as you just said a moment ago, we now know so much more about what Mueller has, and there's so much more yet to come by the indications of redacted documents and so forth, that Democrats could become increasingly confident. And we're not going to know until we actually know the full picture about just how confident Democrats will become. But the political concern is, what if all of this is as damning as it appears, and it lands on Capitol Hill in an unbelievable report, and the American people don't care? That's what Democrats have to think about, because they know that the downside to pursuing this could be very tricky for them politically.
Well, it's beyond political. I mean, according to Adam Schiff. So Adam Schiff was on CBS this weekend, and he was saying it's not, I mean, you've spelled it out perfectly, David, the way politically it could go. But Adam Schiff went further, Jen, and said criminally how he thinks that it could go. So listen to this scenario.
My takeaway is there's a very real prospect that on the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him, that he may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
I mean, obviously, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's how he sees it. So regardless of whatever impeachment might happen with the House or beyond, that he thinks that it's more even beyond that.
I think he's right, but the problem is only if Donald Trump does not win a second term, because the statute of limitations is 5 years. So there is time through 2021, but not if he won a second term. So that's the other thing that's kind of playing out here. If he does win a second term, he actually will kind of ironically skate through, because they won't be able to indict him at that time.
You know, so James Comey was at the 92nd Street Y last night, and he was talking about this. I have a combo platter. What I'm going to give you now is James Comey and
Are there nachos?
And George Conway. I mean, it's better than nachos.
Wow.
Listen to the former FBI director at the 92nd Street Y.
I can't see what the end of the Mueller effort looks like. I don't know what form it will take. I don't know what they'll conclude. And so I can't say in that respect. I can tell you that all of us should use every breath we have to make sure that the lying stops on January 20th, 2021.
So that was James Comey last night, who did not spare any words for the president, by the way. So someone tweeted out what Comey said. All of us should use every breath we have to make sure that the lies stop on January 20th, 2021. Then George Conway, who is
the husband of Kellyanne Conway, top counselor to the president,
and also a big-time, heavy-hitting lawyer, he tweets out, "I'm increasingly optimistic that we can do better than this." In other words, he's saying, I don't think we have to wait, Laura, until January 20th, 2021. George Conway is now saying impeachment is more likely than he has ever seen it before. Look, I don't know what George Conway is playing at there, but he's a lawyer who sees these things. Do you think the DEFCON level has gone to 1 for President Trump, Laura?
I think it has increased. I mean, you think about what is going on right now. The impeachment, look back to the Clinton era. One of the reasons that Nadler and others are reluctant to say that impeachment is looming or imminent is because there has to be some incentive on a Republican side of the Senate to actually go forward through the articles of impeachment if they are ever filed by the House. And when you look at the Clinton years, one of the things that was required to have that happen was there had to be some level of a public distrust or a public popularity contest had to be decreased for that person in order to incentivize it for people who were in office. We know that congressmen and women oftentimes are beholden not only to special interests, but also their American people. So I think in many ways you have to have his popularity go down even more. And I think we're at this level where I think Senate Republicans may be more receptive to say, if all this is true, if it was a hijacked election, perhaps we should look into it, not just because we think the Democrats want us to, but because the evidence compels us to do so.
All right, Laura, Jennifer, David, thank you very much for all of the analysis. Meanwhile, other news to tell you about: a deadly winter storm is pummeling the southeast. It's leaving hundreds of thousands of people without power. It's causing a mess for travel, as you can see on your screen. One person was killed while driving in the storm in North Carolina. More snow is expected today, so let's check in with CNN meteorologist Chad Myers. He has our forecast. Hi, Chad.
Hi, Allison. And the storm really put down its snow exactly where it was forecast to do so. Not as much for Charlotte. They had some ice and sleet mixing in, but for Asheville and Winston-Salem and all those areas really picked up almost that 1.5 feet of snow there. Roanoke, you're still cold. Charlotte, 35. Some melting going on here. If you are flying today, even if you're flying out of Tampa, your plane may be stuck in Raleigh. So this is going to be a dreadful day to fly. Almost 3,000 flights over the weekend were canceled. Canceled, not just delayed. So the planes aren't where they're supposed to be this morning. Now, we will still see some light rain mixing with snow this afternoon, but really this is just about done for this storm. Now, there's another one on the horizon about 5 days from now, but temperatures today are going to be 38 New York, 42 D.C., 39 Charlotte, so things begin to warm up, but warm up is a relative term because for the rest of the day, John, you are in the 30s, 40s, and not even to the 50s by Friday, so another cold couple of days in store. John.
Chad Myers, thank you very much. Chad told us exactly what would happen with this southeast storm, and it has happened. Appreciate it, Chad. So how close are we to the worst-case scenario for President Trump in the Russia investigation? Our next guest says very, very close. Stay with us.
New Day, brought to you by Ensure, for strength and energy.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, now up to 30 grams of protein for strength and energy.
Our dad was in the hospital.
Because of smoking.
It was still hard to have a cigarette.
Had to.
But then we were like,
what are we doing?
The Nicoderm CQ patch helps prevent your urge to smoke all day. Nicoderm CQ. You know why, we know how.
Looking good. At Booking.com, we can't guarantee you'll be good at that water jet thingy, but we can guarantee the best price on this hotel or any accommodation from homes to yurts. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Morning. What do we got?
Keep an eye on that branch. It might get windy. Have a good shift.
Fire pit, last use 0600. I'd stay close.
Morning.
Get ready to switch.
Protected by Flo. Should say protected by Alan and Jamie. Right?
Should it? When you bundle home and auto, you get more than just savings. You get round-the-clock protection.
I got a very, very small loan from my father.
You gotta start somewhere.
I'm a reporter from the New York Times. Aware of bank statements, tax returns, thousands of property records, deeds, and mortgages. 1995 showed that he was bleeding money. Go through it all, understand it all, whole number by number, brick by brick. That's when we realized that's fraud.
I built this empire. I did it by myself.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Amazon has everything you need for your holiday get-together, with low prices and free shipping on millions of items. For everything you need this holiday, visit Amazon.
the unmistakable Cadillac XT4. Once again, driving is joyful. Starting under $36,000.
There to be devoted. Jared.
I try hard to keep a great shape, but it doesn't always come naturally. This I can do easily. Benefiber Healthy Shape is a 100% natural prebiotic fiber that's clinically proven to help me feel fuller longer. Benefiber Healthy Shape, this I can do.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of UGG-Monk. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
So as we sit here this morning, just how threatening is the Russia investigation of President Trump, and how serious the allegations and possible infractions? Our next guest says bluntly, the Mueller investigation nears the worst-case scenario. Joining us now is CNN contributor Garrett Graff. He's the author of The Threat Matrix, Inside Robert Mueller's FBI and the War on Global Terror. And Garrett, you have a terrific article in Wired where you lay out why you see this as the most likely worst-case scenario, and you quote Benjamin Wittes in the Lawfare blog, which had this list of 7 possibilities for Trump and Russia, and this was like from a year ago. And you note that among the 7 here, and if we can put up on the screen so people can see what I'm talking about here, that number 5 is Russia intelligence actively penetrated in the Trump campaign, and Trump knew or should have known. You think we are squarely into scenario 5 right now. Why?
Yeah, so this was I think it's really helpful in the Russia investigation to try to come up with sort of frameworks and think about sort of how to make these developments concrete. So Benjamin Wittes and Quinton Jurecic came up with this set of 7 different scenarios from most innocent to most guilty last year. And once you get above number 4, like, it's really bad for the United States, And this, by the way, I think is worst case scenario for the United States, not for Donald Trump. And that this is, with the revelations that we now know from last week with Michael Flynn, with Michael Cohen, with Paul Manafort, and then even some of Jim Comey's testimony on Friday that came out over the weekend, we squarely see now that there was a extensive, multifaceted, multi-pronged Russian intelligence operation to penetrate and make contact with the Trump campaign. You saw that graphic in the last segment with the 14 different Trump officials who were approached by Russians over the course of the campaign and the transition. That's a lot of Russians. I mean, I think that really bears some emphasis, that there just aren't that many Russians that you encounter normally in U.S. politics. This isn't a country that is actively involved day to day in the swirl of politics in Washington. And so to have that many people with that many ties to the Kremlin approaching that many different Trump officials, and to have, as Laura and David were saying in the last segment, that much sort of welcomed help from the Trump campaign. I mean, it really is striking how much the Trump campaign opened their arms to these contacts and opened their arms to this help. And it's clear that Russian intelligence was targeting the campaign. And the only question remaining is whether Donald Trump and his campaign knew it or not.
Right. And as far as we know, none of those 14 said no. None of those 14 points of contact said to the Russians, you know what? No, thank you. This sounds sketchy. Or, you know what? This sounds sketchy, and I'm going to call the FBI. It didn't happen. And when we're talking about points of contact, I think I want to play it one more time. This was then President Trump a month into his administration.
I have nothing to do with Russia. To the best of my knowledge, no person that I deal with does.
So, Garrett, you now say he knew or should have known, just to put a point on it, correct?
Exactly. And what the two major things that we saw on Friday come out of the Michael Cohen court filing was A, that these contacts began earlier than we realized. The court filing on Friday cites at least one in November 2015, which, again, very much changes the timeline, because then by that point, it changes the way that we think about subsequent contacts. It's sort of things that we thought might have been an initial approach might have actually been follow-up approaches. And then the second thing, as you said, that they just didn't turn any of this help down. And in fact, the counterpoint to that is striking in and of itself, which is on Friday, we saw sort of the one contact that we know of that Michael Cohen didn't follow up on was an offer of help from someone who was offering political synergy from the Kremlin for the Trump campaign. And the only reason he didn't follow up on that contact was because he felt that he was already dealing with someone who had a sufficient Kremlin connection.
So, Garrett, the other thing, and if we can put that list of 5, 6, and 7 up in the Lawfare blog list of worst-case scenarios, number 6 is compromat. And I think people think that's an intimidating word, A, because it's Russian, but B, because they think spycraft or some kind of intelligence dirt there. But if you think about it another way, if you think about it as leverage, then you think, again, we are squarely into that scenario. Explain why.
Yeah, and this is where, we've been very focused on this in the context of the Steele dossier and some of the more salacious possibilities for what compromat could be, compromising material that the Russians had on the president or his campaign. But we're already beginning to see signs that the Russians had leverage over the Trump campaign. And we know of at least 2 instances that we were discussing last week. The first being Michael Flynn lying publicly about his contacts with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak during the transition. And then Michael Cohen and the Trump Organization lying about their contacts with Russia and the Kremlin over the Trump Tower Moscow. And that was, remember, information that the Trump campaign has been lying about for effectively 2 years now, which means that for 2 years, the Russian government has known that the Trump administration is lying about something. And that, again, is about the worst case scenario for the United States from a counterintelligence perspective, to have the President of the United States be under the thumb, potentially, of a foreign adversary who knows that they know things that the American public doesn't.
It's a great point. We are just learning that Michael Cohen was lying about his contacts with the Russians, but the Russians knew all along, including when President Trump was meeting with Vladimir Putin, even once he was president. That is leverage. Garrett Graff, thank you for helping us understand this. Appreciate it. Allison?
The U.S. is aligning with Russia and Saudi Arabia instead of the rest of the world at a global climate change summit. We have details on these sharpening battle lines next.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, it's like CNN gone wild. TMI, too much.
Don't you get the best price booking at one of those travel sites? They tell you that, but when you book at Hilton.com, you get the price match guarantee. So if you find your room at a lower rate, Hilton is like, we're gonna match that rate and give you an extra 25% off. What would travel sites do if you found a better price? That's not my problem. It's your problem. Get out of here. Wow, really felt that performance. It's just acting. I'm really good at it. Book at Hilton.com and get the Hilton price match guarantee. If you find a lower rate, we match it and give you 25% off that stay.
In an era of online retail where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you. Or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
Welcome to BritBox, the biggest streaming collection of British telly ever. Discover exclusive new shows and indulge in all your familiar favourites. Escape to BritBox. Start your free trial today at BritBox.com.
Over the last 24 hours, you've finished preparing him for college. In 24 hours, you'll send him off thinking you've done everything for his well-being. But meningitis B progresses quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. While meningitis B is uncommon, about 1 in 10 infected will die. Like millions of others, your teen may not be vaccinated against meningitis B. Meningitis B strikes quickly. Be quick to talk to your teen's doctor about a meningitis B vaccine.
To celebrate the Grinch movie, IHOP has all new Grinch pancakes, mint hot chocolate, and kids eat free from 4 to 10 p.m. Right, Mr. Grinch? Get IHOP's new Grinch pancakes and see the Grinch in theaters.
Boom. Enjoy your prime rib.
Anyone ever call you Meat Santa?
No, that's weird.
Happy holidays.
Enjoy. Next customer.
We are rebellious,
Looking good and feeling
trendsetters,
Looking good and feeling
one of a kind.
Looking good and feeling fine.
We are what we wear. American Style, coming in January on CNN.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Lean on me.
Sometimes a cough gets in the way of a good night's sleep. That's when he needs Vicks VapoRub, proven cough medicine with 8 hours of vapors, so he can sleep. Vicks VapoRub. Good night, coughs.
This is a warning. Black inside my mind. Do not bring the night flyer back to Earth. Heartbeats out of time. Don't move. Lost and out of place. Time is paralyzed, but I'm wide awake.
Daddy?
Or we're gonna die up here.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Closed captioning brought to you by Farberware Neat Nest. Stacked and intact.
Neat Nest by Farberware. Ingenious space-saving design, all designed to stack and protect the lids and the pan surface. Farberware Neat Nest. Stacked and intact.
High drama at a global climate summit after the U.S. sided with Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait on a landmark climate report. The countries were asked to vote on, quote, welcoming the report, which calls for substantial efforts to avoid disastrous levels of global warming. Those four nations decided against the measure. They didn't want to welcome it. They said they would only take note of the scientific conclusions.
French President Emmanuel Macron set to address his nation after another weekend of violent protests. More than 1,200 protesters were taken into custody, with 135 people wounded. Macron plans to meet with business leaders and union officials. Macron's spokeswoman says he wants to hear their voices with the aim of mobilizing them to act to stabilize the economy.
A Jehovah's Witness house of worship was burnt to the ground in Washington state, which marked the 5th attack targeting the religious group in Washington this year. Federal officials say 3 other buildings, known as the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, have been burned in 2018, and a 4th was hit by gunfire. The ATF says the incidents occurred in close proximity and are believed to be related.
All right, CNN has crowned 2018's Hero of the Year. Our Anderson Cooper, along with Kelly Ripa, announced the big winner last night.
Dr. Ricardo Punjang.
Thank you for my volunteers that helped these 10 years at our shelter. Thank you for all the people that knocked the door and give us rice or beans or some money.
Dr. Ricardo Punjang provides free housing, meals, and support for sick children and their families in Peru while they undergo treatment. He said the $100,000 prize will go towards building a new shelter. Thank goodness viewers had to decide, because everyone up on that stage was so impressive, such an angel. So inspirational. I didn't know who was going to win.
No, those were just the 10 up on the stage. Then we had these young wonders, these children who were doing amazing things that put us all to shame.
Oh, I grounded my children when I got home. Because
Deservedly
they're not
so.
doing any of that.
It was amazing.
It was
All right.
wonderful. And we'll have him on the show to talk more about his mission and just his life.
And how much more he wants to do. It's really great.
Yeah.
So, what's one of the main things you might want if your administration is mired in scandal and controversy? How about a strong chief of staff? Well, the one the president has is now leaving. The guy he wanted wouldn't take the job. So what happens next?
The holidays are here. Make the most of the road home. Hurry in to receive a credit of up to $3,000 on select models now through January 2nd.
Searching for a way to help stop your cold sore? Only Abreva can get rid of it in as little as 2.5 days when used at the first sign. Abreva starts to work immediately to block the virus and protect healthy cells. Abreva acts on it so you can too.
Our old TV provider decided to stop providing our school's games.
So I bought this bad boy. Road trips every Saturday.
But that Dish guy said switch to Dish. You get every major D1 football game right here at home.
Stay home and get every major D1 game with Dish.
At Booking.com, we can't guarantee you'll find gold in them there hills on your vacation. But we can guarantee the best price on this rental cabin or any accommodation, from hotels to yurts. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
We've transformed this home to show the new Keurig K-Cafe brewer makes any house a coffee house. Just pop that in for a coffee or brew a shot and froth milk for a latte or cappuccino.
Easy peasy.
Now she's a barista.
I'm so frothy. A little piece of heaven.
Thank you, but how's the coffee?
Got legs of lumber and arms of steel. Eats a bowl of hammers at every meal. He can hold your house in the palm of his hand. Squeeze your old man, not old man. Big Jim got you covered. Great Big Jim, there ain't no other.
So, this is covered, right?
Yes, ma'am. Take care of it for you right now. Giddy up! Hi, this is Jamie. We need some help.
I always felt that my comedy was just to make things be all right.
It's the story of my life.
Welcome to New York.
Welcome to Las Vegas.
Welcome to Paris. Welcome to your paradise.
Business or pleasure, One Flight International is connecting the world with Book a Jet, the badge. When time matters, just badge it. Simply enter your itinerary, select from over 4,000 private planes, browse interior photos, select, and pay. Whether you're traveling alone, or with business associates, or a romantic getaway, badge it on a luxurious private jet. What's your time worth? Badge it.
I've got a big family. Okay, pick your head that way.
No, smile.
That's a lot of people and pets to make happy this holiday. So I'm always looking for ways to save. With Chewy.com, I get low prices on all of my pet food and supplies. I find amazing deals on dog food for Dasher, cat toys for Comet, and biscuits for Bob. Even the shipping is free. With all that money saved, I can get a little something extra for everyone on my list.
Make their holiday dreams come true. Save 30% on your first order today at Chewy.com, where pet lovers shop.
The Lead with Jake Tapper. Today starting at 4 Eastern on CNN.
John Kelly will be leaving, but I don't know if I can say retiring, but he's a great guy. John Kelly will be leaving at the end of the year. We'll be announcing who will be taking John's place. It might be on an interim basis. I'll be announcing that over the next day or two.
All right, that was President Trump saying his chief of staff, John Kelly, is out and job applications are now being accepted. The man who had been widely expected to replace Kelly, Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff named Nick Ayers, says no thank you. Joining us now are CNN senior political reporter Nia Malika Henderson and CNN senior political analyst John Avlon. John, how unusual is that when the chief of staff job comes knocking, do people often turn it down?
When the chief of staff job comes knocking, people go a-rockin', as no song lyric ever said. Look, Ayers had been lobbying for this position.
John Sununu actually used to sing that concept. Sorry.
But that's a New Hampshire thing. Yeah. It's a deep cut. Look, it is surprising that Ayers turned it down. Now, whether this is spin or whether, incredibly, they could not come to a deal, obviously, this is a position that has a great deal of prestige and power, but a massive downside with Donald Trump. And no one's going to, Trump's going to Trump. And anyone who comes in and thinks they're going to impose new discipline on the president probably's got another thing coming, which is why now that you're looking at the laundry list of folks who the president may be asking, they're apparently having kind of a hard time finding someone who wants to sign up for this duty. I
have a list of people that are supposedly under consideration. Congressman Mark Meadows, that's interesting.
Freedom Caucus.
I mean, would he leave his job as a congressman to be chief of staff?
Sure, you leave Congress for chief of staff. Yeah, but what's funny is I was talking to some longtime Republican Hill staffers and mentioned the possibility of Meadows, and the response was a spit take.
I almost just did one.
Yeah.
Okay. There's also Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney.
And Mnuchin, by the way, people close to Mnuchin are literally leaking to CNN that he really would rather not take the job, that he likes where he is. So that's the situation. I think this is fascinating because I think if there were ever a time when the president would need a chief of staff to right the ship and organize things, it's now when there is a big scandal and an investigation into your presidency. The guy you have is leaving. The guy you want won't take the job. When a 36-year-old person who has been angling for the job reportedly for months all of a sudden won't take it, Nia, that's a sign of trouble.
It is a sign of trouble, and it's unclear whether or not the trouble was from the White House. People like Melania Trump, people inside the White House didn't really necessarily want Nick Ayers on the job, or whether it's not. It's a result of just the chaos swirling around the White House. Impeachment talk now coming from some folks on the Hill, and obviously there's going to be a new sheriff in town with the House Democrats now in charge, and likely all sorts of investigations. This White House is going to be facing. But it is, a testament to this White House that this is a job, normally an incredibly prestigious job. Normally you would have dozens and dozens of really highly qualified, experienced folks vying for this job. But here, that's not the case. And it is, again, a testament to this White House, a testament to this president. The idea that you can come into this White House and right this ship. Remember, John Kelly tried that. He was supposed to be the adult in the room. That didn't really work out. The president had some of his roughest times as John Kelly was at the helm. So the idea that somebody's going to come in and now really fix things in this White House, you can't do that because Donald Trump is his own chief of staff. He plays all the positions in the White House. So there's not going to be a scenario when somebody comes in and all of a sudden things are going to be different.
Well, in the category of there's a tweet for everything, Donald Trump was in 2012 aghast that President Obama had 3 different chiefs of staff in 3 years. Here's what he tweeted. 3 chiefs of staff in less than 3 years of being president, part of the reason why Barack Obama can't manage to pass his agenda. Well, now President Trump would have 3 in 2 years.
3 in 2 years, and actually did a little homework on this. Since the chief of staff became a position under Harry Truman, there's never been a president who's had 3 chiefs of staff in 2 years. And the Obama stat, beyond the sort of irony of it, Pete Rouse came in for 3 months basically as an interim. Basically for the first 2 years, the vast majority of it was actually Rahm Emanuel.
Who was a congressman who left his job to go to chief of staff.
True.
And governors that left their job. It's that prestigious.
Yeah.
And again,
Sounds like you're angling for it.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I need at this point right now. But no, look, I honestly, the idea that he is sitting here in December now without a chief of staff and the job's got to be filled, Nia, I think it's really telling about where this White House is. And John was talking about people up on the Hill not being thrilled with the idea of Mark Meadows. We're hearing from Republicans on the Hill who are more unsettled than they've been, period, about where this White House is in its overall understanding of the gravity of the situation it faces?
Yeah, the idea that this White House might just be prepared to wing it over the next couple of months when you've got a Mueller investigation that's ongoing. Who knows when that's going to end, when you've got this incoming House Democratic caucus that's prepared to look into this White House. This has been a White House that never has been very strategic, never very good in terms of communication or following through on a plan, coming up with a plan and then following through with it. So the idea that now they've got this situation where they can't really seem to attract a candidate to this chief of staff position, somebody who would be the point person in many ways for any number of issues, dealing with Congress, dealing with the kind of communications part of the Mueller probe. It's telling and it's worrisome. I think if you were a Republican going into 2020, going into this very tumultuous time for a White House that already has had a tumultuous time. In many ways, the best days for this White House might be behind them. It's not likely there's going to be much in the way of legislation. There'll likely be some movement, obviously, on the judicial front. Judges will be in panel and all those sorts of things. But other things, it just looks like it's going to be more chaos for the next 2 years.
John, I want to get to what Rex Tillerson did over the weekend. Someone slipped him some truth serum, and he spoke quite candidly about his impressions of working for President Trump. So here's Rex Tillerson.
The president would say, well, here's what I want to do, and here's how I want to do it. And I'd have to say to him, well, Mr. President, I understand what you want to do, but you can't do it that way. It violates the law.
I mean, that was...
Among other things.
It's just among the many problems.
Details.
He kept asking me to break
I mean, look, a lot of people have said, why now? Why is Rex Tillerson speaking out? I mean, I think it's just because he was ready and he had a forum. Is there any other agenda, you think, that why Rex Tillerson was saying something
wouldn't
so publicly?
overestimate the strategy behind the timing, but it clearly is. He has been pretty tight-lipped. And this was an unvarnished look at a president that dovetails and doubles down on a lot of the descriptions we've heard of this president. For the people who work closest with him, it does not breed respect and loyalty. The unvarnished truth seems to be deeply unflattering. And just to hear the former Secretary of State, by the way, didn't make a lot of news because Friday was such a big news day. Normally that would be, front page stuff. Say, the president kept asking me to break the law. That's nuts.
Well, the president fired back with a tweet. He says, Mike Pompeo is doing a great job, Tillerson's replacement.
Right.
I'm very proud of him. His predecessor, Rex Tillerson, didn't have the mental capacity needed. He was dumb as a rock, and I couldn't get rid of him fast enough. He was lazy as hell. Now it's a whole new ball game. Great spirit at stake! Exclamation point.
I will note, if he's calling the Secretary of State dumb as a rock, we know the Secretary of State called the president a moron.
A moron, yeah.
So
this is the high level.
Maybe they weren't in a book club together.
Yeah, we've been having.
That book club was not as scintillating.
Is not calling for the.
Yeah, what, you want to weigh in on?
No, yeah, I mean, this is where we are, and I think it's more to come. I mean, you see him praising Pompeo in that tweet. Who knows how long that will last? I mean, he's praised a lot of people, and then he's turned against them. Again, I think if you look at one of the reasons that if you're thinking about going into this White House, all of this chaos and the kind of pettiness of this White House is a real reason to stay away, as well as the idea that a lot of the folks have gone in there. Typically, you think of a chief of staff job or any sort of administration job as a way to elevate your profile, elevate your career, also do public service. And here you see a lot of people going into the White House and leaving with tarnished reputations.
Which is why Nick Ayers, perhaps, who wants to have a career in politics, maybe didn't want to take that job. All right, Nia Malika Henderson, John Avalon, thank you very, very much. I have never seen a more amazing
Neither have I.
playing football, nor have I ever seen one that punched me in the gut quite this hard and then stomped on my head afterwards. The Bleacher Report is next.
Parking splat, and we covered it. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
This holiday season, families near you need your help. Visit redcross.org now to donate.
Have you ever seen something so beautiful that all you could say was, wow? Beaches, Turks, and Caicos, where anything is possible because everything is included. Wow. Get up to 65% off. Call 1-800-BEACHES.
Dick, I want you to be my VP. Oh, George, come on. Lone Ranger needs a Tonto.
Vice has more Golden Globe nominations than any movie this year.
This is going to be fun.
Including Christian Bale, Best Actor, Amy Adams, Best Supporting Actress, Sam Rockwell, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Picture of the Year.
I'll handle energy, military, foreign policy. I like that.
This isn't something that a vice president really does.
Well, it is now.
Vice, rated R.
If you look around, the whole world's coming together now. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Delivery.
Can you feel it?
Alexa, turn on the light.
Can you feel it?
Smile. Are you kidding me?
You need iXpand, the easy way to move photos and videos off your phone and free up space. Save at iXpand.com.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, it's like CNN gone wild.
TMI. Too much.
Hey, Ma? Where's the VOD on your DirecTV?
The what?
The shows, entire seasons, the movies, all on demand. Ma, your Genie isn't even connected to the internet.
I can't afford that.
It's free, Ma. Can you afford free? Hang on. Now you're all hooked up.
Thanks, dear. Hey, when are you gonna hook me up with some grandkids?
Ma.
Get connected to the internet and get more. Hook a mother up. Visit directtv.com/connect to learn how.
We all have needs. For me, it's a fresh cut. Ain't that right, Los? NBA League Pass knows you need basketball. 2 or 3 game a night habit, you need League Pass. Right, Los? Big game you can't miss? NBA League Pass. Ride hard for your squad? League Pass has got you. Right, Los? Los?
That beard is bad, man.
This part of my bad, man. Let me finish you. Get what you need with live games on NBA League Pass.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Closed captioning brought to you by OnlyMeso.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
Heartburn and gas? Fight both fast. Tums Chewy Bites with Gas Relief. All-in-one relief of heartburn and gas. Tums Chewy Bites with Gas Relief.
Bleacher Report is brought to you by Tums. What are you eating this tailgate season? Share photos of your game day spread on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag TumsSweepstakes for a chance to win one of the weekly prizes to upgrade your next tailgate.
All right, we have a sports moment so stunning, even I am excited about it. The Dolphins shocked the Patriots with an unbelievable final play. Andy Scholes has more in our Bleacher Report. Wowza.
Yeah, good morning, Allison and John. You know, as much as you don't want to say it, John, this was one of the best finishes to a game in NFL history.
Absolutely.
They're calling it the Miami Miracle. Everywhere outside of New England, there it's being called lateral damage. But one thing's for sure, Dolphins and Patriots fans are going to remember this one for a very long time. Miami was down 5, 7 seconds left. They go with the old hook and ladder play, and they're eventually going to get it to running back Kenyon Drake. He's going to make a couple moves and then get to the outside. Only man left to beat was Gronk, who was on the field for a potential Hail Mary. Why, I'm not sure, because Ryan Tannehill wasn't going to throw that ball 75 yards. Gets in for the touchdown. Dolphins shock the Patriots 34-33, and the Miami Miracle keeping the Dolphins' playoff hopes alive.
The way it ended, I mean, it sucked. I mean, never really been a part of anything like that. I feel like it's going to test our character big time.
Yeah, it was a rough day for Patriots fans. John, I just want to thank you for tweeting, I'm okay. Just wanted everyone to know. Because I was worried about you there for a second. But did the TV make it out intact? The living room? Is everything okay at home?
I didn't want anyone to worry. I just didn't want anyone to worry. I had to watch the play again because I couldn't believe...
You couldn't get your mind around what had just happened.
It just doesn't happen.
But I mean, why was Gronk out there on the field? Was that a mistake?
It was bad coaching. It was bad execution. It was bad everything.
I mean, I don't know anything, but it didn't look like he could maneuver that well.
No, he's
like... The chances of that play working is always less than 1%, and it just happened to happen to your Patriots.
Thank you, Andy. I was aware of that. I appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
All right. Meanwhile, Robert De Niro making another surprise appearance as special counsel Robert Mueller on Saturday Night Live. Here are your late night laughs.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
You hear that, Don? There's something in my closet.
Look, buddy, nothing in the closet.
Mr. Mueller, people say you're the worst thing to ever happen to my dad.
No, Eric. Getting elected president was the worst thing that ever happened to your dad.
Trump is now calling for an end to the Mueller probe, which I gotta admit, it's worth a shot. I mean, you don't want to go to jail and then find out you could have just called it off the whole time.
That's how awful it is to work in the Trump White House, by the way. John Kelly spent 40 years in the Marines. He did 3 tours in Iraq, and he couldn't finish 1 tour with Donald Trump.
When you put it that way.
Yeah, that was Eric Trump in bed, with Robert Mueller there. It was Eric and Donnie going to sleep, reading bedtime stories.
That was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining. All right, the Washington Post reports Russians made contact with at least 14 Trump campaign officials or associates. This is federal prosecutors implicate President Trump in federal crimes. So what's next?
Don't you get the best price booking at one of those travel sites? They tell you that, but when you book at Hilton.com, you get the price match guarantee. So if you find your room at a lower rate, Hilton is like, we're gonna match that rate and give you an extra 25% off. What would travel sites do if you found a better price? That's not my problem. It's your problem. Get out of here. Wow, really felt that performance. It's just acting. I'm really good at it. Book at Hilton.com and get the Hilton price match guarantee. If you find a lower rate, we match it and give you 25% off that stay.
Going to extremes for perfect skin? Where does it end? New Olay Whips. While not equal to cosmetic procedures, our B3 complex hydrates to smooth skin. Injections, rejected. Beautiful skin, accepted. Olay.
A Massage Envy gift card unwraps all the benefits of total body care. Share the gift of wellness and help everybody on your list be their very best. Receive a voucher for 2 free enhancements when you purchase $100 in Massage Envy gift cards. Massage Envy membership, making the best of everybody.
This holiday season, make Tommy John the ultimate stocking stuffer.
And say goodbye to awkward adjustment moments like these.
The wedgie shift, the party pick, and the hide and seek.
You won't have those problems when you upgrade to Tommy John.
Our underwear is made with a luxuriously soft, lightweight, breathable fabric that stretches in 16 different directions. It stays put so there's no bunching, no riding up, and no more wedgies. Guaranteed.
Our stay put waistband won't roll down or leave marks, and Tommy John underwear is designed for maximum breathability, which means you'll be cool and dry all day long. Overcome the uncomfortable
with Tommy John.
Give the gift of life-changing comfort with limited edition gifts. Visit TommyJohn.com now and use the promo code on your screen to get 20% off. Plus, find out how you can get free expedited shipping and guaranteed Christmas delivery on orders placed by December 19th. That's TommyJohn.com. Tommy John, no adjustment needed.
What makes this simple salad the best simple salad ever? Great tasting, heart healthy California walnuts. So simple, so good. Get the recipes at walnuts.org.
Got directions to the nightclub here. And if you get lost, just hit me on the old horn.
Tom's my best friend, but ever since he bought a new house...
It's a $10 cover? Oh, okay. You can see that on the website.
He's been acting more and more like his dad.
Come on, guys, jump in. The water's fine. Tom Pritchard. How we doing? Hi there, Tom Pritchard. Can we get a round of jalapeno poppers for me and the boys, please? I've been saving a lot of money with Progressive lately, so.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
It's time to take a different look at SiriusXM. Listen now with new subscriptions as low as $5 a month plus fees. Or subscribe to one of our best packages and get a free all-new Amazon Echo Dot. Hear commercial-free music plus sports, talk, comedy, and more. Visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM or call to get complete offer details for your car, your home, or anywhere you are. Get a great offer at SiriusXM.com/GetSXM.
So I have this recurring dream. I'm 85 years old in a job where I have to wear a giant hot dog suit.
What? Where's that coming from?
I don't know. I started my 401k early. I diversified. I'm not a big spender.
Oh, sounds like you're doing a lot.
But I still feel like I'm not going to have enough for retirement. Like there's something else I should be doing.
With the right conversation, you might find you're doing okay.
So no hot dog suit.
Unless you want to.
No.
Schedule a complimentary goal planning session today with TD Ameritrade.
This investigation is now starting to put the president in serious legal crosshairs.
The president has been denied some of these allegations.
They would be impeachable offenses. Whether they are important enough to justify an impeachment is a different question.
The optics are bad, but that doesn't mean there's been any illegality or any criminal conduct.
I have a lot of admiration for General Kelly. It's a hard and difficult job, and obviously he'll be missed.
The lockdown tough general didn't work. I like the idea of someone who is a politician. When there is no plan whatsoever for